So you can see it has rained quite a lot recently, and this, what should be dried grass, is still got a bit of moisture to it. That's why the smoke is very thick and it's taking a while to blow into a flame. And we're very close to a flame. There we are. I've got my sticks, they're all sorted. These are the smallest ones. I've got a small platform I've put down there in the fire pit already. And as that dense tinder bundle smoulders away, smokes away, flames away, I'll just carefully, one by one, put these on. It will probably smother the fire, but I'll just lean into the fire pit and I'll blow it, and they should all catch light, and we'll have a nice fire that we can cook on. So the fire that we just made, that was, well, it was obviously a friction fire, the bow drill method. The spindle, which turns like that, that was hazel. And the hearth, which is the piece on the bottom which I cut the notch out of, that was lime.
Well, it's been a long time coming, but we are back here at the Viking house, the proper Viking house that we built pretty much this time last year. This is a little homage to our first overnighter, which we did here about a year ago, almost a year ago to the day. It was an epic night. We cooked up a really good feast. We had some mead, drinking out the ale horns, and it was the culmination of pretty much 9 days' work that we had put into building this structure. It was our first major structure here on TA Outdoors. We learnt a lot along the way. It's built out of cedar, and the bark on the roof is cedar as well. We've got a Viking long pit in there. We've got 2 raised beds, and it's still standing a year later. It's withstood 80-90 mile per hour winds, multiple storms this year, torrential rain, and we're really proud. It's still going 1 year later. So this episode is all about enjoying time in the shelter that we've built. Dustin's just got the fire going. I'll give you a little tour to show you what it looks like a year later, because it will be a bit more tired. And yeah, thanks very much for tuning into this episode. It's going to be a good one. Let's crack on with the food. So we're just off to do a bit of foraging, because what we're going to add to the feast tonight is some wild food. The first ingredient is some wild garlic, and there's plenty of it down here. We've just followed this small path into the woods, and there's loads of it. It's pretty easy to identify. You don't want to get it caught up with that Lords and Ladies, or Lord and Ladies, which is poisonous, but you can generally tell the difference because the leaf shape on Lord and Ladies is more like an arrow, whereas this is a bit more like a spear. But also, I think the big giveaway is the smell, right?
That's right, yeah.
It's the smell of
make
garlic.
Sure you're picking wild garlic. And
Yeah.
Mike just mentioned the Lords and Ladies.
There you go, the
very
arrow.
poisonous.
Yeah.
And
Look how close it is to the garlic where it was growing as well.
oh, it's right next to it.
Yeah.
So
Spear shape, kind of arrow shape.
once you know what you're looking for, you definitely don't want to pick this.
That will ruin you.
It will.
It will
And to
end
double
you.
check it, just
Yeah.
wow, very pungent, very strong. You don't need much of this when it comes to cooking.
I bet. And look at these little shoots. I bet these are so strong. We'll get a few bits of those. Good spread here. Poisonous. Little ladies growing right next to the garlic. So it's quite easy to mistakenly pick them. Just be aware. And there it is, the roundhouse is still here. We've got a few more bits to do to it still, so keep an eye out for an episode probably in the next couple of weeks where we're going to try and get the walls sorted, and then we've got to do the battening along the edges and then pretty much finish the roof. So it's a big job, there's lots to do on this still, but it's going to be awesome when it's finished, and we can't wait to do some overnighters and feasts in there. We've still got the wigwam in the background, or wigwam.
What we need to do is get rid of this tree.
Not stand under this tree that's about to fall down on us.
So there's been a recent storm, like about a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Very big storm. And it's just lifted this whole root ball.
Look at that.
It's a very shallow root ball, just lifted it straight out of the wet ground.
It's where this clay soil is just loosening everything up. The roots are just pulling through really easily where we've had so much rain. But that's right on the camp.
So you can see we've got this nice little sort of isolated clump. There's a few little clumps over there of wild chive, but in general what you really want to do, and it's a very good thing to practice when you're out foraging, never take everything, only take what you need. That means next year there'll be some left for when you go back.
So I was just using this little kind of carving hatchet really, but it's a bit of a beast just putting it to the test. Really I wouldn't normally cut logs over the head like that with a hatchet, I'd use an axe, but this is more like I say carving style where it's got that deep groove in there to be able to get your fingers in and do some of the finer work, but I'm pretty impressed. This is Dustin's one, but yeah, bit of a beast for a small hatchet. It sure does pack a punch. I like the handle style as well. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so this is our Viking long pit that we've got. It's about a foot deep by, I don't know, maybe 5 feet long. So what we're going to do is split the fire. So we've started the fire now. We're going to have one fire here and another fire at the other end of the pit. So I'm just taking some of these away. Yes, they're not completely burning, some of them, but we need to break this fire up. So to do that, obviously I'm wearing gloves. We need to get some embers. It's a spooky one at the moment. now I need to get the fires going again. That one's already kind of started, but I need to get this one going. So now those fires are going good, we're going to let them roar up nice and high like they're doing now, then let it burn down to some nice hot coals, and then we can start cooking. In the meantime, I thought I'd just give you guys a quick tour of the Viking house. This is almost 1 year later to the day that we finished this shelter. So it's 1 year old, and yeah, let's go have a look at it and just see how tired it is, what we could have improved, maybe what sort of did well and what's lasted well. So to start with, it's all intact. So we'll go with the outside first. That's our ridge vent, which is helping to let all the smoke out. Another reason why we didn't block off the front with a gable end at the moment. We still might do in the future, but the reason we didn't do that is to allow airflow to get into that fire and, you know, so it wouldn't smoke us out. But we created that ridge vent, and you can see the smoke actually permeating through a gap in the top there. I've actually got a hole in there which I cut, but yeah, all that smoke from the fire goes up and out, and it seeps out through the gaps in the bark as well. Let's talk about the bark, because that was one of the main jobs we did. It was really tough. It took a long time. This is cedar bark, and it is solid now. Listen to that. This is hours and hours and hours of peeling off cedar trees, which is this tree here. There's a cedar tree. There's loads of cedar trees there. That's an oak, but this is essentially the bark from that tree, and you can see it here. It's quite unique bark. Lots of things you can do with it. Great for fire lighting and cordage as well. But yeah, really awesome tree. Very rot resistant, which is why we used it in this structure, and also it's widely available around the woodland. So the bark itself we did pin in with some metal tacks because we knew it would go hard. We could have made holes and lashed it, but that would have taken a very long time. The reason there's these big holes, I mean look, there's monster holes here. Holes there, holes there. These circular holes are from the branches and limbs that stick out of the tree. If you can see them growing out there, if I take my hand away, you can see all the branches coming out to the side. Every time there's a branch coming out, like for example here there used to be, but every time there's a branch coming out, that's going to leave a hole like this, and that's what all these holes are. Now we could plug them all, obviously my finger can fit through, we could plug them all, but again, lots of holes to try and plug there. These splits in the bark here, for example, we couldn't help. This is where the bark shrunk over time, and it's contracted, and that's left these big gaps here, and this has happened all over the structure. You can see there's lots of gaps, and sadly we couldn't help that, but this was our first time attempting this. So we didn't know how it was going to turn out, but we're still really impressed by the rigidity of it, and the water will still run off, but obviously all these gaps it's going to drip in loads. So we'll stay relatively dry, better than sleeping out here under that, but not as dry as if we were under a tarp. The bottom logs here, all of these rafters, these all go down to the ground, and the reason they're black at the bottom is because we burnt them. An ancient technique used many years ago to help preserve the wood when it's in contact with the ground or just general moisture and water. So these are blackened. You can see there's moss starting to grow on them now, but solid, not going anywhere. Cedar, like I say, is very rot resistant. Admittedly, we probably could have burnt these higher, because if the rain's hammering down hard and it's dripping off there, it's still going to run into the log here and into cracks and eventually rot it a bit quicker. So probably should have burnt it a bit higher, but hey, we're learning. Around the back, there's our window. That's on a folding latch system, which we designed so that you can, it's on a sort of hinge, basically a hinge, just a piece of string, and that can open and close. There he is.
I'll give you a demo.
Give us a demo. There we go. Our bark window, just to let some more light in and control the airflow when, as you can see, the smoke's coming out. So the smoke's all rising, it's coming out so that we don't get smoked outside. We've left this all open just to, again, air it. You don't want to be smoked out. We can still be protected from the wind. Now, these have loads of gaps in them, and originally, I think it was episode 8, I clayed them, and I put loads of clay in there from a tree that had fallen over there. However, the clay did not have straw or any kind of binding material. It was just pure clay from the ground. As a result, we had lots of rain, it all fell apart, and it's probably all washed into the ground now. So lesson learned, you guys have seen the Saxon House series where we did the proper wattle and daub technique, the traditional technique. Admittedly, we didn't use animal dung, but we did use straw, mud, clay, and that has bound much better, it's much tighter. And if you want to check that series out, I'll put a link in the top or in the description below. You can watch the Saxon House build, and yeah, much better, where we learnt how to use wattle and daub properly to seal up those gaps, and the clay set nice and hard, and it's still there and it's had rain on it and it's absolutely fine. Coming around to this side, all looking good. I think this was the first side we did actually of the shelter. Again, all intact. We've got a little hazel fence here which is looking a bit tired. The bark has already started to get moss on, look at that. So this obviously, this side doesn't get as much light, so there's a lot more moss on it, but if anything it's going to help waterproof it a bit. But yeah, the moss is starting to grow a lot more on this shady side. The fire pit, I'd say the fire pit, Dustin, has not changed a bit. It's absolutely bang on, isn't it?
It's really good. Yeah, it's weathered very well, but it would do being brick. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. And these stones, we found these stones in the nearby area.
Yeah.
And that took, honestly, what, 2 days?
It did. Do you remember dragging that huge
yeah.
rock over? It was like a Stonehenge slab.
It was. Yeah, some sort of monster stone. But this has been absolutely brilliant, this fire pit. We're really pleased with it.
Yeah,
we
really
do have a hidden vent that's going under Dustin's legs and coming out to the side here. I'll show you guys in a minute. Actually, I'll show you now. There's a vent going under here which we dug, and it's just here. Bit of bark so that if the rain, the bark needs to come out a bit further, but if the rain, yeah, that's protecting it from the rain. But that draws air in, and that goes straight into the fire there, which keeps all the oxygen going and keeps these fires going. But that pit has been absolutely brilliant. So this is the inside, and this is where you can really see the gaps and the holes that we've got in the structure now. Like I said earlier, we can't really change that, sadly, because that was the bark that just dried so and constricted so much, didn't it? And it just reduced its size by a massive amount, and as a result it left big cracks in there. We kind of knew it would happen, but not to that extent.
The effort we went through to get that bark, and then a few months later, once the bark had shrunk and we saw the gaps, it was heartbreaking.
It was pretty tough. But we kind of knew it would happen, just not to that scale, didn't we?
Yeah.
Like, it's got the authentic look to it, but practically wise, we're going to get soaked. We know that. But we can throw a tarp over the top of it and, we'll be fine. But either way, it's still an impressive structure for our first big build. And you can see where that clay washed out at the back there. It's just completely gone. So lesson learnt there. Get straw in your clay mix and mud and animal dung if you can, and that will bind it all and seal it much better. Dustin's raised beds there, not changed at all. My raised beds here need some work, but I did use some wood dowels and things like that, and some auger work, and yeah, it's still standing. So it's not the most comfortable bed. I still need to change it. Right, let's get some food on. Someone's definitely
Don't put that in. Don't.
Someone's definitely... Right. Cooking good in the woods.
Cooking good in the woods. Oh, thanks for bringing that one up, Mike. Have a look at this.
Yeah, neat little bit.
This is fresh out of the packet, and this one is a gift to you.
Oh, thank you, mate. That's very kind. Look at that. In terms of kit for this overnighter, I've just got a simple bedroll this time. I brought my air mattress, but because it's the uneven wood on that bed, and I've slept on it a couple of times before, the foam roller is going to be a lot easier. So this is just one of those cheapo kind of yoga mats. It'll do the job. I just worry with the air mattress that it might puncture where it's a bit uneven on the wood, and there might be a few splinters in it to puncture it. So I can still put it on top of this, but that's what I've got there. Backpack, I've been using this for a long time. Quite a few questions from you guys. This is made by my friend Brian over at Journeyman Handcraft. It's called the Roma. It's kind of that traditional waxed canvas look. I don't use it all the time, but I do enjoy using it. Just leather, brass buckles, waxed canvas. It's quite a big pack actually. Brian's been kind enough to offer you guys a discount on this pack. I'll put links to the description. For anyone who's interested, there's links in the description, and I'll put more specs and info about this pack in there. But inside is fairly simple. I've just got axe handle, you see there. Titanium cup for a drink, a warm drink. Like I say, air mattress there. Bit of a pillow. Wash bag and wash kit in that one. What else have we got? I've still got my auger in here, which I use for the building videos. There's my auger bits. That's just left in there. And then sleeping bag. So that's essentially it. It's just sleeping gear. Dustin's been the hero and brought the food, so I didn't need to worry about that. It was just a case of bringing sleeping gear. So that's all my gear. That's going to go in the shelter now, and I'll probably set that up ready so that we don't have to do anything else. Myself and Dustin can just chill, have a few beers and just chat and enjoy the evening. And Amber, of course. Amber is with us. Hello, Amber. Hello, Amber. She's desperate for some chicken. Although I hear Dustin's got some treats for her. That gets rid of all the sharp, pokey bits. Much better. Much better. Darkness is approaching. For those wondering if we feed the dog, which we get every time.
Wait. Wait, she loves these. So we've got
Turkey
a nice
Twizzler.
dog treat, because it's only fair, if we're going to eat, she better eat as well.
She doesn't know where to go.
Oh, Amber.
She's probably
Go on
getting
then.
smoked out, to be fair. Go on.
Go on then, jump up, jump. Jump. Good girl. Oh. Mike,
Ooh,
you're up first.
that looks good, man. Cheers. Amber, tucking under. I'm gonna cold shoulder you. No, you okay? You wanted to lie down. Cool. Here we go. The feast has arrived.
Dinner's ready.
What have we got? Other than chicken, obviously.
What we got? We got some bread. We got some chive and wild garlic mayo with a bit of the rub that we put onto the chicken, and then we've got a nice sort of roast chicken.
Yeah, a bit of bread as well that we just toasted slowly
Toasted
over
bread.
the fire. I mean, that chicken cooked for what, an hour and 15 maybe?
Maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We did. You know, you can see it's quite juicy, but it's steaming. It's still really hot. It's nicely cooked.
Looks awesome.
It's not going to be dry, that's for sure.
No, you can see the juice is just dripping off it. Look at that, on top of some mayo. Let's just show that. Make everyone a bit jealous. That is looking good, man.
It's cooking good in the woods again.
That garlic,
Mmm.
really strong. That's what you get with wild garlic. That's really nice, that garlic.
Takes a bit of time to infuse into the mayo,
Lovely.
but once it's done infusing, it really is strong. But that's why you don't want to use too much of the wild garlic. Wild garlic can be very overpowering. So just a little bit.
That's about the right.
I think we used about half, maybe a third of what we picked.
Yeah, and think
Well,
how
that's
much
all you
was
need.
there. Blankets of it.
So much. You could mow it with a lawnmower.
Yeah. Here we are a year later in the
Yeah.
Viking house. I think last time we had the lamb copter. Do you guys remember the lamb copter?
The lamb copter.
Just slowly swinging that lamb.
Moment in history.
In fact, I'm going to play some footage now of the first overnighter that we did this time last year. We had a bit of fun, didn't we? It was good.
We
It was
really
a good
did.
laugh.
We really did. Lamb copter.
The lamb copter, as someone just said it. Yeah, we got this which spins with the heat of each fire. This just
That
turns naturally.
slowly turns. The meat
Yeah.
slowly turns with it, and it's like a reverse spit roast.
It is. It's incredible. The lamb copter, we've been calling it, but you can see that it's turning the lamb slowly there. We have not touched this. No word of a lie for
we
2
haven't touched
hours.
This at least 2 hours.
Yeah, and it's evenly cooked on all the sides, so it's looking good.
It's
So we're going to test the Viking long pit, as you do when you've had many an ale. We're going to see. We've cut some beast logs. Is that going to fit? We're going to put some full-on logs down here,
this one down there.
the whole length of the fire pit, and crank it up and see how much flame we can get in here.
People, we are updating you from the Viking house, which is still standing after this epic fire, which I think is going to crack all the clay.
We have success with the Viking long pit. Look at this. This is an absolute beast.
That's the Viking fire.
That's a proper fire, that.
The lamb copter. It spun. It was the heat generated. Well, the heat from the fire. It turned this kind of like wheel, being a fan blade made from cedar bark, which then spun this lamb leg, which we'd seasoned and we'd given it a nice little rub as well, and we'd had it suspended between 2 fires. So similar to our chicken, we had the lamb, 2 fires, and the heat rising up to these blades, and it would turn the blades, and it was like a an automated, almost like an automated rotisserie.
It was, and it was just slow cooked for a few hours. It was unbelievable.
It was so good.
And then we cranked the fire up, and then the mead started flowing.
And the
just
mead as well.
Cranked the fire up, and
I think
we
we
stopped
had-
recording.
Did we bake a loaf of bread for that night?
Yeah, we did, freshly baked. Yeah,
Freshly
really
baked
good.
bread as well.
Yeah.
We were actually, you know what? We were actually planning on baking a loaf of bread for tonight, but the shops were out of stock. You wouldn't believe it. I'm sure everyone is panic buying.
It was
You
mad.
couldn't even buy any flour in the supermarket.
All the toilet roll's gone.
The soap is gone.
Not
as
that we're
well.
going to need it out here. We've got plenty of moss.
But-
Soap was gone. And then flour was gone.
Yeah, crazy.
All the flour. So like you say, we both went to different shops to try and get some mix.
Sold out. All of
All
them.
gone. so we couldn't do it. Either way, it's worked out good. We've got
Tasty.
some good food. So here we go. 1 year later, the ale horns are back out.
Long live the Viking house.
Long live the Viking house and our leaky bark roof. Fine ale, fine food.
What more could you want?
Exactly. Good company, just living out in the woods, having a laugh. Probably crank the fire up again, just like last time.
I think we will, yeah. Now we've done cooking, push both fires together, big flame, throw some wood on, maybe drink a few more of these, see what happens.
We got some really good seasoned ash, actually.
Really nice seasoned
Last
ash.
time it was all cedar and it burns fast.
The problem with this cedar is it burns, and if it isn't fueled, or what should I say? If there isn't enough oxygen, the cedar can burn out and go out very quick. It doesn't smoulder to an ember, and then
kind of smokes, doesn't it?
It just smokes and dies. So we've got a nice bit of seasoned ash. So tonight we'll have a nice warm fire that will hopefully see us through until tomorrow morning. We might even have embers tomorrow morning.
Hopefully.
I think we did last time.
We did, but we put a ton of logs on there. Went well into the night on that one. Cheers, guys. Thanks for all you guys supporting and watching TA Outdoors and Dustin's channel. Go check it out. Bushcraft Tools, link in the description. We do appreciate it. You know, we're currently in the middle of the other build, the Celtic Roundhouse, which is another huge project. Quite a complicated one. Probably a bit more complicated than this because of the round structure. A bit more detail that we've done.
Hey, at least we don't have to peel the bark.
Yeah, true. That's true. But yeah, that's been another cracking one, and a lot of you are following that series, so we do appreciate it. And we've got some ideas down the line of some really cool things this year, actually, haven't we? We've got some good things, but we're keeping them under wraps for the moment.
Yes, we've got. Yeah, well, I'm not going to say.
There's one big thing, and then we've got a few other cool things. Amber's on the
good.
move. I dropped a bit of chicken, so I think is she good with that?
Having a Labrador, if
Yeah.
you drop anything on the floor,
It's there.
they are on it straight away.
It's there. Yeah, she's got it.
What was it, chicken?
Hey, we have a tiny house. Yeah, it's a tiny bit of chicken. It's good.
Autofocus. Microphone. Well, guys, we are going to call it a night. It's been good fun. We've had some good food. We've had a few beers, and the fire is dying down and getting smoky. But we're going to hit the sheets, and we've had a bit of rain, but nothing too major. Nothing dripping through the shelter, which is good. But yeah, we're gonna hunker down and hopefully get some sleep. Smoking the ice, and we'll see you in the morning.
What is that smoky?
Dude, that whole scene. Morning all. It is the next day, and it's only 7 o'clock in the morning, but I'm going to shoot off because I've got my young 3-month-old daughter at home that I need to get back to. So I'm not having breakfast or anything today. I think Dustin might be having some. He's just gone back to his car to get some bits. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. It was a really good night. Good fun. We found some nice dry dead ash in the end, and just got that fire going for a long time. And just had a good chat and a catch up and reflecting on the build that we did. If you guys are interested in watching this series of where we built this Viking house, there's about 8 or 9 episodes. I'll pop a link either up here or in the description down below. But yeah, thanks so much to everyone who's followed us from the Viking house series. It's been a cracker. We may still continue it and do a few more tweaks to the Viking house, but we also, like I say, still have the roundhouse to do. I've still got the bunker as well. Just been terrible weather that we've had lately. And to the wild camping guys, there will be some coming up soon, maybe in about 2-3 weeks. Just waiting on my younger daughter to be able to sleep through the night a bit more, so it's a bit easier for my wife. But anyway, lastly, wouldn't be a TA Outdoors video without a little t-shirt plug. To commemorate a year later of the Viking house, we've got the Viking Horn t-shirts. They are now available, taofficial.com. Put a link in the description to those. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll catch you real soon.